Hello. Good morning, everyone. This is Ianton here. I'm from United Hydrogen. Very happy to see everyone again. Once again, hope everyone is enjoying the session today. And it's a pity that I'm not here, but I'm sure everyone is having a very good time. Too bad to miss it out, but hopefully I will see you guys the very next time. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Min again for inviting me to share a bit about what we have been doing so far, as well as how our perspective towards how the role of hydrogen in powering ASEAN will be moving forward in the year of 2026. It was so soon. I was just in Vietnam in the early start of the year, tendering for projects. And I think coming to now, what we have here, the world has changed quite a lot, and a lot of updates that here I'm looking forward to share with everybody. So first of all, I think we talk about what everyone is talking about, energy security. I'm sure your government, your clients, your partners are all talking about how, hey, the opportunity for hydrogen here is again um, very exciting times ahead where energy security is on the mouths of every management, every leader to look at alternative source of energy. I think it will be the same thing for all of us here. We've been hearing a little bit more, getting a bit more understanding. I think the crux of the issue that we know that hydrogen can be a very important and strategic source because it's not reliant on anything. And one thing from where United Hydrogen built from, hydrogen is indeed a very important part of energy security. And which leads on to what I want to share in terms of why it becomes so important in the 15 5-year plan that was announced and pivoted starting from this year onwards. I think the net zero carbon goal for China is a very strong mandate. They are looking at reducing the amount of CO2 by 17% during these 5 years. And the vehicle, which hydrogen is part of the six energy sources that will play an important part of China's energy security. I think this transition really provides the very direct incentive to a lot of hydrogen players in the industry, as well as our clients in the heavy industry to really look at green alternatives, because that will be one of the full force where they will be targeted to reduce their carbon output. In this new 15 5-year plan, I think I'm here to also share a bit about what we do in China as part of our mandate. And I hope that that is something that we are looking at and it will be useful for everyone over here. Comparing the last 5-year plan, the 15 5-year plan really integrated hydrogen as part of the national pipeline backbones. So it's a very important infrastructure project compared to previously just looking at using case in terms of solving problems or decarbonizing the logistic industries. They are looking at energy resource, and which brings me to another topic over here that I want to talk about a little bit more later is the opportunity in terms of using energy as a source of energy to even the consumers or users of energy. A bit more about why everyone is motivated. The approach this here is also talking about not only specific use case, but bringing governments together across different cities. We call it the city clusters, and having financial incentives of up to 230 million US dollars. So this is something that really motivated everyone and every government to look together to not only do things in silo, but how do we build an entire hydrogen ecosystem within the few cities itself. I think one of the few application focus besides logistics that I was telling you, really, we're talking about heavy freight. We talk about steel manufacturing. So these kind of industries are traditionally very high carbon intensive. And I think it's a very good reference for all of us here in Vietnam, in ASEAN. And I think the other thing that is very interesting is the which stage of this hydrogen development where we are. Instead of it's a 0 to 1 approach or the stage that we used to be in. Right now, we are looking at how do we scale to infinity from here. And this is, I think, where I must admit that organizations like ourselves have certain benefit because we have some basis in terms of the projects that we have around China. We own around 30 refilling stations. We have right now increased one more, 4 hydrogen production plants, and we manage over 3,000 over vehicles, hydrogen power vehicles around China right now. So I think that's where we want to see how we can scale to infinity from here. But I think one key takeaway over here, with that in place, we are very confident that we can over here in ASEAN can leverage and bypass the entire phase that China had went through and really partner directly with China in terms of equipment. We've seen it, what happened during solar, and how to scale it productively. This is the part that I wanted to share with everybody. It's very interesting. I was just having this discussion with my CTO, and one of our key interests is also to look at infrastructure from energy source. Uh, I believe last year when I was here, I shared with everyone that we are also involved in parts of this project to bridge Inner Mongolia to Beijing. So now it's in place. We also have the North China spine, where in Zhangjiakou, we have a hub or a Trojan hub there where all the pipes from different areas are coming in and supplying to the whole of north of China, which is very important. So they are looking at really producing probably 1.6 million tons of hydrogen to be piped and combining the entire country. So they are talking about in terms of terawatt hour, 56.6, displacing around 4.6 million of petrol. Over here, I think we all know the limitations of hydrogen. Unless it's piped, the cost of transportation is very high. So that's why when we talk about reducing the cost, we can even slash it to probably close to 10 to 25 cents USD per kilo with this pipe approach. So this is very revolutionary. And I think one key thing I wanted to highlight over here is also the use of hydrogen. Last year, I brought a delegation of Singapore government agencies to Beijing, and we had this discussion about the mixing of hydrogen into the natural gas pipeline, which is something that is very important and interesting. I'll get to the interesting part in a bit, but with that, China traditionally doesn't make more than 10% into their pipeline for fear of corrosion, safety, etc. But current safety standards does allow it to go to a mix of, I believe, close to 30%. So why do that? A lot of us are asking. Of course, you can actually transport the natural gas containing the hydrogen and extracting the hydrogen at the end. But the other interesting thing is when you do that, even without extracting the hydrogen, the mix between natural gas and hydrogen can be a very good form of energy and doesn't affect the 100% natural gas when you burn them. The same amount of carbon intensity, the quality of the burn or the energy, really, we're talking about energy intensity and how cheaply it can be transported, lesser carbon if you're using green hydrogen or produce green hydrogen in the mix. These are very interesting way of decarbonizing and this, but get this, most important of all, the very interesting part is that you're actually getting it cheaper. By mixing hydrogen in with natural gas is actually cheaper, greener than using 100% natural gas. And today we are talking about higher cost of natural gas. It will probably be very much cheaper than that. So that's the reason why we are exploring bringing this to certain parts of ASEAN and looking at it seriously with government from Singapore. And I think with Mr. Mi, we talked to PV guests about it before. Something interesting that we can be actually really doing. Next, I think in the whole market reality, the whole economic reality, we can look at, maybe I'll use two examples that we ourselves at United Hydrogen are in, port logistics as well as coal mine logistics, because one of our largest shareholder is Magic Energy. We have been using hydrogen trucks, dumpsters in the coal mine. We have reduced cost to like probably per kilometer cheaper than diesel fuel. So you're talking about 25% cost reduction. And at the port right now, we are talking about maybe 70%, 70 cents per TEU container that you are moving. And that's excluding the ship that we own now. We actually have a hydrogen ship that's in trials in the boat right now, flying Jiaxing and Hangzhou port. With that, you will be greener and even much more cheaper. Yeah, so I think the national target overall for China is to push end user hydrogen price to below $3.50. All this amount I'm talking about is all in USD. So I think this is working towards how do we really bring down the cost of using hydrogen, as well as having hydrogen related equipment to reach it. So I think this is something that we can look forward to, and with all the strengths that or the support that we have been given, plus the current year, this spells a very important opportunity for all of us here who is interested in using hydrogen or selling hydrogen solutions. Okay. For those that are here last year as well or have been talking to me, I wouldn't delve too much about United Hydrogen, but for new friends over here, really United Hydrogen goes across providing solutions all the way from production, all the way to using it and the back end infrastructure in terms of equipment, manufacturing to green data. So we encompass the whole value chain. One of the key solutions provider we call it is using hydrogen as a service, which includes financing solution, which is what we are doing at Jiaxing Port. So for new friends who are interested to find out more, happy to chat with you on a later session. I wouldn't want to bore everyone by going through what we have been doing so far. I would want to focus on new things, and which is Mr. Min's instruction to share a bit about more about what we do at using hydrogen in agriculture, as well as our new initiative in terms of rolling out consumer-facing hydrogen solutions or hydrogen products. Okay, good. Again, any questions? I cannot take questions now, but happy to have all these questions consolidated. Feel free to share with me or reach out to me. Yeah. I'm not here to talk about this technology because I think everyone is very familiar over here. However, one thing that I wanted to emphasize is that the new thing that we see from last year is that more and more governments, especially in this region, are coming to us from a utilization of their surplus energy. A lot of them realize that a lot of the renewable energy has gone to waste, and they are seriously looking at hydrogen as a form of solution to utilize the waste. And this is something that is very interesting. And when I talk about this waste, although this diagram doesn't, or this infographic doesn't really show it, it's also talking about how we are producing hydrogen through waste or the biofuel. So this is some discussion that we have talked about with partners over here, even here in Vietnam, to talk about biomethane, talk about biogas. And this is something that I also want to put across to everyone. Should you also have projects that's related to using waste to conversion into a biofuel or hydrogen in the end process, I really wanted to talk to you because we are actually evaluating some projects for investments both in China and outside of China. Okay, this slide about our plant. We have two factories in China. We manufacture fuel cell, our own, one of our sister companies, Sino Synergy, as well as we also own the buses and trucks that we manufacture. So things that you see on the road, the 3,000 vehicles are manufactured by our sister company, Feichi, on this aspect. Just one area that I wanted to focus on is also the trend of using PEM electrolyzers, and specifically in the Vietnam market, we do see interest in being able to deploy PEM electrolyzers in the region with organizations that are using probably not too big, small volumes of hydrogen, but we realize that through that, if we are able to do a financing model, a leasing model for the electrolyzers, is actually more value for money for end users because it's cheaper than shipping tanks to or trailers, hydrogen trailers or tanks to their use case or their site. So this is something that we already hope to deploy in both Vietnam and Indonesia, where we have certain requests. Yeah, and I think one key area or aspects that United Hydrogen is really strong in is our freight system. So we actually operate close to probably around 3,000 over vehicles. A large chunk of them are these trailers, hydrogen container trailers. In Jiaxing, if you do visit our port, and I would love to invite everyone to visit our port in Jiaxing. We just had a Vietnamese partner who joined us last month. I was there with him to see our place. You'll be able to see 300 of these trucks that we are operating in Jiaxing itself. And with that direction, we become one of the important players in trying to help China to achieve their goal of reaching 100,000 commercial vehicles by 2030. As of this stage, I believe we are at probably close to 30 to 40,000. So it's another half more to go. And within these 5 years, they are very confident that we will be able to reach it. And we do hope that ourselves, wisdom, be able to play an important role to help them achieve that. Lastly, I think one other area, this is my personal passion because I come from software background, computer software background, is in terms of how we manage the data, leveraging on AI data to utilize, to track, to do your carbon accounting. And of course, I think we should not neglect to optimize the production and utilization of hydrogen. This is a very, very important part. I believe everyone knows about the Envision project in terms of creating green ammonia in China, in Inner Mongolia. One of the reasons they are able to do that is not only to produce the green ammonia at a very market competitive price, because of the amount of renewables in Inner Mongolia. One of the key things that they do to manage to bring down the cost is really leveraging on data. They know exactly how much they need to produce, how much power they have, and what is the demand and the supply chain. They calculate it all using this green data platform to be able to produce optimally and bring down the cost of production. So I would really encourage everyone to look into it. For people who knows me well, know that I'm very passionate, happy to share more if you would like to learn more. Yeah, this is should be the center of attention on what I'm supposed to share a little bit more. I think I do not have too much time, but I just wanted to talk about our United Hydrogen Life consumer-facing products, one of which is the agriculture. I did a session here about how we use hydrogen. I have the entire deck with more information for anyone of you that are interested to find out more. Happy to share with you the deck. There are specific data in terms of what we use it for certain crop, specifically rice, how we use hydrogen infused water to improve crop yield, crop quality, like blueberries, you can see there. We improve the yield, tomatoes, all this. We have actual data, and we are still trying to work with more partners, especially we hope to do more in Vietnam over here, to work with partners to bring about projects in this region in terms of agriculture, which is very important. And to continue the subject in terms of what we are talking about earlier on, agriculture is also very important, as all the countries, because of the geopolitics, are trying to secure their supply chain for food. To be able to improve it is a very important factor. Even here in Singapore, we are trying to raise our own crops. So this is actually very important, and how technology like this to improve crop yields and quality is actually very important. The other one that we have over here are some of our hydrogen products over here, where we have like hydrogen infused mineral water, shower, etc. So these are consumer. Why we are a lot of people might ask me why we are going to consumer facing. Really, the consumer facing products, I think there's two goals. One of which is a potential revenue channel, I must admit. But then how we are able to educate the public, because we believe that this is a full cycle. We shouldn't be only people here in this meeting that knows about hydrogen and do hydrogen. I think we need a lot of more people to know and help us lobby to the government to push this initiative further with a better understanding. Just in the 1.5 years I've been in this industry, I think I've been repeating myself all the time. I believe we need a bigger platform, which is what the next project that we are doing in China that is very exciting that I will share is the Momo Truck Initiative. We are actually bringing our hydrogen trucks touring around China. So right now we are planning for 2 trucks to be touring the west of China, Chengdu, Chongqing, Yunnan, that area, as well as the Yangtze Delta where our headquarters is located, Shanghai, Hangzhou, Nanjing, this area, where we actually bringing around our hydrogen truck and showcasing to consumers. We have received very good feedback and response from municipal government and city government who understands our initiative, inviting for us to bring it to some of their tourist attractions, shopping malls, One of the use case of converting this hydrogen truck is into merchandising, retail. We have humanoid robots. We are working with partners to provide coffee, selling things at our hydrogen trucks. So this is something that I myself is very interested. And for people who know about my background in marketing and cultural IPs, I'm helping also to acquire both international IPs and domestic IPs to work with us. So people who are familiar with Genshin Impact, One Piece, international IPs, Nercha in China. We are talking about to all of them to produce some collaborative merch to educate people about hydrogen and to bring about more knowledge about what we are doing over here. Hopefully, we can expand this initiative much better. And I hope it'll be interesting. Happy to have some feedback or interesting things that we can be doing together, people who are interested to collaborate. Although I must admit that I'm not so sure whether this truck can go out of China for this moment. Yeah, but happy if you should you have anything that you think will be interesting for consumer facing, happy to talk to me, come to me as well. Yeah, so don't worry everyone, I'm coming to the close of my presentation. I'm based here in Singapore. We believe that Singapore is a very important hub, as all of you know. We do see a very increasing interest. I think not in the Middle East, of course. Things are a bit chaotic there, but I do think that we see that with this crisis, geopolitics, we see a lot of interest in Europe coming close to Asia. I believe all of you are here. I think that the French, the Germans are very increasingly very active in this region, especially coming to hydrogen. We do hope that we can actually utilize the both of what China has in terms of maturity and bring to mature markets, in the ASG initial markets from here in Singapore. So for people who are also here in Singapore, love to collaborate more. And or if there's anything I can help you out from here, feel free to reach out to me. Last but not least, again, I always shared the Mr. Min's vision in terms of Vietnam and ASEAN, and I really truly believe that Vietnam plays a very important role in terms of the global hydrogen value chain. This is something that I really believe in, and which is why I really strongly support this initiative, VHAC, and whatever Mr. Min is doing, I try my best to support him as well, because I believe in this vision and his vision. I know earlier the session there was a joint crediting mechanism. A pity I couldn't learn more, but I think we want to leverage more on this to initiate energy transition projects here in Vietnam. How we can bring about what we have in terms of products and technology over here, build factories over here. And I think standards and safety is something that we are actively pushing. Thank you to Mr. Min. To VHAC, we are on the Safety Council, both here in Vietnam, and we are also part of helping the committee to technicals and safety committee to define standards in Singapore as well. Last but not least, I'm leaving behind my contact details. Although I'm not here, I'm there in spirit, and I do go to Vietnam very often. I do look forward to seeing everybody. Coming to the end of this, I also want to pitch to people to you if should you have interesting biogas projects that I talked about earlier on, or interested to work on hydrogen projects here, green energy projects, I'm happy to talk to everyone. I have my LinkedIn on the top and WhatsApp below. So let's do it together, drive forward this hydrogen momentum, don't waste this opportunity. And I look forward to seeing everyone. Thank you once again to VHAC. Thank you, Mr. Min. So I look forward to seeing everyone. Thank you.